We reached the parsonage without further accidents. Janine and Dad's first instinct after seeing us was to, in typical adult fashion, provide all three of us with a set of dry clothes, though in this case none of us complained about it. Now that we had actually been absolved of our duties, we bunched together on the floor of Louise's and my bedroom and shared conspiring whispers about the mysterious figure of Mr. Pfadbaum. Meanwhile, as a camouflage should anyone decide to take a sneak peek into the room, we decided to use toilet paper rolls and cardboard to build a theme park for Playmobil characters. We basically just had fun until it was time for church service in the evening. Could the three of you watch over bubblegum for a while? Asked my dad. Why that? I asked, not exactly thrilled with the proposition. Well, Janine and I have to attend two further church services before the one in Mitchell. Janine plays the role of the Maria in one, and is the verger for the second. We'll pick you up as soon as we're done and walk up to our church here in Mitchell. And who's gonna watch over bubblegum during the nativity play? I asked. Either me or Janine, said my dad. Ah, all right, I said. My mom had already left me alone with bubblegum her fair share of times, so it wasn't really anything new. In fact, watching over him would probably be easier now that it was the three of us. Dad and Janine vanished out of the house, and we placed bubblegum in front of his car magazine that he started flipping through for about the 100th time. That kept him busy for a while. We sat at the kitchen table, or on the kitchen table, it really depended. Kai was standing next to the table, Louise crouched on a chair, and I sat cross-legged in the middle of the table, careful to neither touch the bowl of Christmas cookies nor the bottle of sparkling water next to me, lest I accidentally pushed them onto the floor. Why aren't you sitting on the other chair? Asked Kai. Oh, there's some of the papers for my dad's next sermons. I'd rather not mess with them. I explained to him the reasoning behind my unusual choice of seating. Kai just nodded, and Louise hadn't even cared about me sitting on the table in the first place. We spread out our already pretty knitted and battered list on the table and added our most recent observations. All in all, from the perspective of our detective endeavors, this Christmas Eve had already been a success. We'd eliminated all suspects but two, the Zieglers right next to us and Mr. Pfadbaum, our main suspect. There's always more people than usual going to church on Christmas Eve, aren't there? Kai wanted to know. Naturally, I said. As a pastor's daughter, I'd witnessed just that often enough to confirm it with confidence. Then there's also going to be a lot more donations than usual, deduced Kai. I nodded once more. And your dad usually keeps the money from those donations inside the parsonage, right? He does that, yeah, I confirmed. And at the end of the month, he tallies it all up and gives it to the bank or something. Well, in that case, announced Kai, swimming on cloud nine of self-importance, this night might just be the most dangerous of all of them. Knowing the amounts of money that are going to be in the house, tonight might be the night the thief strikes. You're right, said Louise, and even I had to admit that Kai had a point. Tonight, the parsonage would likely contain more cash than on any other day of the year. So, we're gonna have another lookout sleepover under the hallway table? Kai shook his head. That didn't work out last time. We're just gonna fall asleep again, and in the end, the thief might even steal us. I mean, at least we'd know his identity then, said Louise. Kai dismissed her thought with a derisive snort. Sure, and then he realizes that he can't make any money from us. He ties us up and throws us into the Mitchell. Thank you very much. Louise and I shivered at the thought of being disposed into the swirling of icy December waters. No, said Kai. We'll need to proceed much more aggressively than before. We'll need to forestall the thief. And how do you think we're going to do that? I asked. Do you want to steal the donations yourself so the thief can't get them anymore? That's an amazing idea, called Louise. We hide the money so the thief won't be able to find it when he breaks in. That's a possibility, said Kai generously. But I was actually thinking of maybe paying a visit to our suspects and catching them in the midst of their preparations for their Christmas coup. Or we'll catch them after they just came back and are busy counting the money. Anyway, we'll climb out of the old coal hatch and meet them halfway. I was just about to give him an approving nod when I noticed that Bubblegum had started shredding his magazine into thin stripes. And since some of these stripes looked suspiciously like gummy snakes, if you didn't look too closely or were 2.5 years old, he'd happily started dining on them. Chapter 15, in which a kitchen descends into chaos once more. I dove off the table and obviously hit the bowl of Christmas cookies and the bottle of sparkling water on my way down. The bowl shattered into 1,000 shards, and the cookies spread out over the entire kitchen, each dissolving into at least 20 individual crumbs. The water bottle rolled onto the floor and was only stopped when it collided with the bottom of a shelf. The chair that I'd used as a stepping stone towards the floor was the one that held my dad's documents for his sermons. As I'd expected from my dad, his documents were just a stack of loose pieces of paper that fluttered onto the floor and gently landed in front of the water bottle. Said bottle had already been under pressure from falling onto the floor, but the collision with the shelf seemed to have pushed it over the edge. Maybe the cap hadn't been screwed on correctly, or maybe the pressure had just been too much. Who knows? Half the contents of the bottle gushed out onto the carpet and my dad's papers beneath it. I had a moment of just taking in the chaos I caused. Again, if my recent experiences had taught me anything, it would be that I should just avoid staying in any kitchen for any significant amount of time for the sake of people around me. I wavered for a second whether I should first try to save the valuable documents that were currently being soaked in sparkly water. In the end, I decided that it was more important to remove the stripes of magazine from Bubblegum's mouth. I struggled quite a bit because he already owned a row of sharp little teeth and had successfully chewed the paper into a mushy pulp of mouth paper. Soon, though, the entirety of his presumed gummy snakes was splayed out on the carpet. It looked very appetizing, about the same way a roll of wet, used, and glued-together toilet paper would look appetizing. Bubblegum was not happy at all about this. No, he wasn't. In fact, he almost immediately started crying and hitting my arms in retaliation.